Good evening and welcome to the channel studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Israel says it has carried out new attacks on Iran's leadership compound in Tehran, including the presidential office. One reporter inside Iran says every part of Tehran has been hit since Saturday, while new pictures show explosions in the east of the city. The Red Crescent says the number of people killed since US-Israeli attacks began has reached 787. Elsewhere, Israel says ground troops will advance and seize additional strategic areas in Lebanon in order to stop attacks on Israel. The US Embassy in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia has been hit by 2 drones, seemingly from Iran, and the gas price on international markets has risen again, up 30% at one point on Tuesday, after 50% increases on Monday. The US has confirmed 6 American soldiers were killed in an Iranian strike against a military facility in Kuwait on Sunday. US Central Command originally said 3 soldiers had died in the incident, but officials confirmed that the death toll had doubled after 1 person succumbed to their injuries and 2 more bodies were found in the rubble. Before and after photos showed damage to several locations. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth confirmed a US bunker in Kuwait was hit after a missile was launched during Iran's original retaliation evaded air defenses. The 6 deaths are the only fatalities confirmed by the US military since it launched strikes against Iran. France is to boost its nuclear arsenal and extend the deterrent to cover other European countries in a major development of its nuclear defence policy. In a speech in Brittany, President Emmanuel Macron explained the changes as the response to an increasingly unstable strategic environment. Speaking to naval officers in front of a nuclear submarine at the Ile-Longue base near the port of Brest, he said the number of French nuclear warheads would be increased from their current level of around 300. He announced the launch in 2036 of a new nuclear-armed submarine to be called the Invincible. The authorities in South Sudan say at least 169 people, including senior officials, have been killed when a group of unidentified men launched an assault on an area in the north of the country. Describing the attack as carried out by dozens of armed youths, Ruang Administrative Area's information minister alleged that they came from neighbouring Unity State and were linked to the Sudan People's Liberation Army in opposition. The SPLA-IO has denied any involvement in the attack, accusing the Unity State authorities of politicising the violence. The UN has repeatedly warned that the country is at risk of sliding back into full-scale civil war. The US has imposed sanctions on the Rwandan army and 4 of its senior commanders, accusing them of fueling the conflict in neighbouring Democratic Republic of Congo. Fighting has persisted despite a US-brokered peace deal in December between the Congolese and Rwandan governments, aimed at ending the long-running conflict in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. The US Treasury Department accused the Rwandan army of undermining the peace deal by training, equipping and fighting alongside the M23 rebel group. Rwanda swiftly rejected the accusations, saying that sanctions had unfairly targeted one side and misrepresent the reality and distort the facts of the conflict.
This week at the BAFTA Awards,
the late-night comedy show Saturday Night Live has been criticised for a sketch about Tourette's syndrome, with a charity saying it was not acceptable.
It was involuntary verbal tics.
The US TV comedy show depicted a series of controversial celebrities blaming their behaviour on the condition, which can cause involuntary verbal tics.
Immediately after the BAFTAs,
the sketch, which was posted on social media, came in the wake of a furore after a Tourette's campaigner involuntarily shouted a racial slur while 2 black actors were on stage at last weekend's BAFTA Awards. And a long-lost painting by Rembrandt has been rediscovered and authenticated by experts, after its whereabouts were unknown for decades. Rembrandt's Vision of Zacharias in the Temple from 1633 was excluded from a list of the Dutch master's works in 1960 and disappeared after being sold to a private collector the following year. But it resurfaced when its owners presented it for tests at a museum in Amsterdam, which undertook a 2-year examination. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel studios in Lagos.